Hello and welcome to Numeristical, bringing you the picks of the day for Friday, August 9th. I am back in California. It is 10:15 a.m. here. Makes it 1:15 p.m. West Coast or East Coast time. I long plane ride back and getting over jet lag, but I'm happy to be back in California. Let's go and start off by reviewing the picks from last time, which was 2 days ago. So this was on August 7th. We had two picks on the money lines, two picks on the totals. Lost both our money line bets. Split decision on the totals. Lost the Guardians despite having pretty good closing line value there. We got even money, and the Guardians were a favorite by the time the game started. Rockies also, I think we had decent closing line value, but lost both of them. Giants Nationals went over, but the Diamondbacks Guardians went over as we picked. So net, we lost 2 units. Combined totals and money line were up now only 0.38 units for the season. Totals model was up 10.37 units. Money line's down about 10 units. So that's where we are on those models. Spreads model, we did not have any picks last time, remains up 2.8 units. Let's get into today's action. Starting with the money line, here is the full set of games. You can see we got a double header between the Guardians and the Twins. Here's the probabilities on all the games. Models telling us to look at 3 home teams, 2 away teams. First home team it likes is the Rays hosting the Orioles. Thinks it's about close to an even game. So it's saying to bet the Rays if you can get plus 124. Let's take a look at the Tampa Bay Rays. Here we go. And we're not quite getting to 124. Get 120, but not better than that. So no bet there. Next up, the Marlins hosting the Padres. Again, model thinks actually the Marlins should be a tiny favorite. And so it says to bet them if you get 119 or better. Let's take a look. The Marlins. And we're not quite getting 119. Looks like we could have gotten that earlier because it opened at 125. But right now we're not getting 119. Best we're getting is 118. So off by a penny. But still, no bet there. Next up, the White Sox. Model loves to pick the White Sox. They do have Garrett Crochet, who has been great despite their team being terrible. And they're saying to bet them if you get 125. So let's take a look at the White Sox. The White Sox did finally break their 21 game losing streak, something like that. And they got 1 win and then they lost again. So let's see what we can get there. So we're getting 129 on the White Sox, which is enough for the model, so that means we have to bet them. Again, my heart sings with joy every time the model tells me to pick the White Sox or the Rockies or teams like that. The Marlins, I don't seem to mind as much. Marlins seem to come through at least enough for me to feel good about it. But White Sox, I don't always feel that great about, but let's go ahead and do it. Model says to bet if you get 125, and we are getting 129 at Bet Online for the White Sox. So White Sox plus 129. Okay. Next up, a couple of away teams. The A's visiting the Blue Jays. Model likes the A's if you can get 115, and it's showing 130. So this looks like we'll find a bet here. Let's see. Yeah, in fact, we got as high as 135 on the A's. So let's go ahead and do that. A's plus 135. And finally, the Phillies at the Diamondbacks. Zach Wheeler going for the Phillies. So the model thinks the Phillies, are about 60% to win this game. I'm sorry, thinks the Phillies are 60%, Diamondbacks are 40%. Diamondbacks have been very hot lately. That might be why there's this discrepancy. Model is saying to bet the Phillies who get minus 122. It's only showing minus 135, so let's take a look at what we got there. Phillies, not quite, almost. We're getting minus 124, but not minus 122, which is what the model wants. So no bet there. So it looks like we just got the White Sox and the Athletics both as underdogs. Let's move on to totals. Here is the full set of games. And model's looking at 5 unders. First, Nationals Angels point is 9. And it likes this saying bet under 9 at minus 128. So let's take a look. Angels under 9. We're actually getting even money. Wow, so that's a pretty big gap. So again, don't know if there's any weather factors or anything. I don't didn't have a chance to look at that beforehand, but let's just go ahead and follow the model. Model says under 9, even money is a good bet. So we'll do that. Angels, Nationals. Nationals under 9 at even money. Next up, Marlins Padres point is 8. And the model says to take it if you can get minus 114 or better, and it's showing minus 102. So again, this looks like it'll lead to a bet. Let's see. Here we go. Padres, Marlins. Yeah, and we got some 8s and some 8.5. So let me do a quick calculation, see which looks better. Okay, so the model actually slightly prefers the 8 under at minus 102 to the 8.5 under at minus 120. So it thinks it has an edge of 10.35% on the 8 under 102 and only 9.28% at the minus 120. So I'll go ahead and follow that. I usually like to take the higher point, where the thing more likely to result in a victory, even if it's a smaller victory. But, let me follow the numbers. So we're going to take the 8 under at minus 102 here at DraftKings. So let's mark that down. Padres, Marlins. Padres, Marlins. Under 8, minus 102. Okay, next up. White Sox Cubs point is 8.5. Saying take the under if you can get minus 120 on the White Sox Cubs. And yeah, in fact, we get 8 under at even money, or get 8.5 under. Actually, 8 under at plus 105, or 8.5. I'm sorry, plus 107. They just keep getting better and better. 8 under at plus 107. Or the 8.5 under at minus 115. So let me do another recalculation. Okay, so again, doing this calculation at the 8.5 minus 113, the edge is 0.898. And at 8 plus 107, the edge is 10.6. So we'll take that 8 under plus 107. At Bet Online. So let's go ahead and do that. Under 8, 107, and that's the Cubs, White Sox. Next up, Dodgers, Pirates. Point is 8. Model says bet the 8 at even money. Under 8 at even money for the Dodgers Pirates. Dodgers Pirates under 8, not getting even money. In fact, it's down to 7.5 here to get even money. So no bet there. And finally, the Mariners Mets. Point is 8, model wants plus 102. Showing minus 102. So let's take a look. Mariners Mets. 8 under. We can get plus 105 here at South Point. So, or we could get 8.5 at minus 115. So we're seeing a lot of cases where bookies are giving different points, which is interesting. So 8 under 105, or so again, I'm going to do another calculation. Give me a second. Okay, and looking at that one, the model prefers the 8 under at 105 to the 8.5 under at minus 115. So we'll take that here, the 8 under plus 105. You see Caesar's just moved to match that. So 8 under plus 105 on the Mets Mariners. Under 8, 105. And that's all we got for totals. So we got a few bets, few totals bets, 4 totals bets today. Let's take a look at the spreads. So here's the set of games and the spreads and the probabilities. And it's telling us to look at 3 home teams, 3 visiting teams. I think one of these might be a mismatch. This Guardians Twins might be a mismatch with the doubleheader. But let's try to get through these quickly. Rays plus 1.5. Model wants minus 130. Rays plus 1.5. We're not going to get to minus 130, so no bet there. Padres, Marlins. So the Marlins plus 1.5. Model wants minus 140. And yes, we're getting exactly minus 140 at Caesars and Bet Online. So we'll take the Marlins plus 1.5 minus 140. Marlins 1.5 minus 140. Next up, White Sox plus 1.5 wants minus 137. White Sox minus 1.5. Yeah, we can get minus 133. So we'll go ahead and do that. Minus 133. Next up, the Guardians plus 1.5 wants minus 154. Now I got to make sure I'm getting the right game here. This is the Guardians. This is with Cobb versus Varland. So it might be mismatching these. Cobb, Varland. And it wants minus 154. Yeah, so that's a mismatch. It's confusing the games when I match up the odds, so that's not a real recommendation. A's, Blue Jays, saying take the A's plus 1.5 at minus 166. A's plus 1.5 minus 166. We get it minus 158. So A's plus 1.5 minus 158. Minus 158. And finally, the Phillies. Excuse me. Phillies minus 1.5. It wants 131. Phillies minus 1.5. Phillies minus 1.5. We got exactly 131 here at Circa and also at Bookmaker. So Phillies plus 1.5 minus 131. I'm sorry, Phillies minus 1.5. Phillies minus 1.5 plus 131. Okay, wow. So this might be the most picks ever in a day. So we got 2 money lines, White Sox and Athletics. We got 4 unders. And we got 4 against the spread, including the White Sox. So we're doubled up on the White Sox and the Athletics. That's always fun. But all right, yeah, a lot of picks today. This will definitely impact our total standings. But that's what I got for today. Thanks for joining me. It's good to be back in California. I'll hopefully be back on a schedule where I will be posting early morning, hopefully California time. All right. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Bye-bye.